Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and I hope
How are you
Gugulethu,
doing?
can you hear me? I'm good.
I
I'm good.
think
How are yourself?
hold on a minute. Let me make my volume a bit
Or can you hear me?
okay, hello.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. I'm saying, can you hear me?
Uh,
Hello.
okay, I can hear you. Yeah.
Or you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Great. Thank you so much for. I know that I've been bothering you all this week for this opportunity to speak and to interview you at this podcast. Let me call you Mathieu. Thank you once again for showing up, even though you had a busy schedule. I know that. And
Uh, um, I think my volume it's a bit low.
but
Let
from
me.
this side, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah,
All right, great, great. So
yeah,
without wasting
good, good,
further
good.
ado, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, yeah, it's now clear. I was
All
not
right,
so it was now the volume was very low, but I can now hear you.
all right. No, that's great. That's great. So we're going to start our podcast, and firstly, sir, thank you so much again for showing up. It's really wonderful,
Okay,
and
thank you for your interest.
I
Also,
would love
thank
for
you
you
for
to
your
introduce
interest and
yourself.
patience. Yeah,
Sir, I said, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
okay. I'm Gugulethu Mhlanga. I'm a social worker working with children with disabilities. I'm Zimbabwean, but I'm in the UK, focusing with disability. Yeah, you can call me Gugu or GT, which is appropriate because I know my name is a bit long.
All right,
Yeah,
all right. That's great. Thank you so much, sir, for being on the podium today. And it's an
it's my
honor
pleasure.
from the University of Zimbabwe to the United Kingdom. What a journey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, sir, going straight to our talk today, we want to focus more on children's rights and their growth in Africa.
Okay.
So, my first question to you, sir, is to start our conversation,
Okay.
how do you define children's rights in the context of Africa today? And how
Okay.
does it differ from what we see written in official policy papers?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's a whole lot. In the African context, children rights, they are understood not only as legal rights, but they're exercised also in the family because I believe in Africa, we believe in collectivism, we believe in family, we believe in Ubuntu. So children rights, they operate in a family context, and we borrow from the African Charter um, of the Rights and Welfare of Children, which we also borrow from the UN Convention. So basically, a practical definition might be children rights in Africa, the entitlements and protections that ensure that children survival, development, protection, participation, and well-being, while recognizing them within the community they live. Because we believe that in Africa, it takes the village to raise a child. So children rights, they operate in a context of family and environment. So the key characteristics of you may see that the African context and maybe a European context, they're a bit different. As I said before, we believe in collectivism. We believe in cultural identity. Yes, I spoke about Ubuntu, the collectivism. I am because you are the socio-economic realities. You must understand that children's rights, they are linked to maintaining cultural heritage, language, and socio-economic connections. And emphasis is more on survival and development. So the key question is, how does this differ? Things on the paper and things in reality. That's the main question. Yes, we've got a blueprint of children rights, what we're supposed to do, what does rights mean. I think every African country has got a blueprint, has got a good blueprint in terms of children rights. But the most important part is practicality. I think the official policy documents based on the UN Convention is the framework that we hinge on. But the policy papers often emphasize individual rights, formal systems of justice, measurable outcomes. But in contrast, this is on paper. But in contrast, rights are negotiated with families. For example, I'm from Zimbabwe. A child elopes, a 16-year-old girl just elopes. A family can have an informal arrangement to say, you know what, let's just agree, just give me maybe $200. We cut the deal, we don't report the case of child marriage to the police. So at the end in Africa, we compromise. It's not, in reality, we compromise. And our traditional norms, they affect us. For example, I'm going to use Zimbabwe so much because I'm a
That's perfect.
Zimbabwean.
That's okay.
I'm a Zimbabwean. In Zimbabwe, we've got a church that we call the white garment sects. Do you know them?
The
We call
white
them
garment.
apostles.
Oh,
Sects. We
yes,
call
yes,
them
oh, the
apostles.
apostle.
Yes.
Yeah,
This church has been problematic. I'm not trying to label, but some time back, there have been some allegations of perpetuating child marriages and so forth. So we find out that our legal basis versus the norms, versus the culture, versus the religion, and also we talk about economic strains. You know what? We've got the good blueprints, but in reality, we don't have the funding. To be honest, recently USA pulled funding from Africa and abroad, and it was one of the major powerhouses in terms of funding. So the pulling out of funding, it was a major constraint because it was helping most governments to cushion. So economic challenges is one of the reasons why things we have on paper does not come to fruition in reality because we don't have funds to make those things a reality. And also, I think these are the things that we have: reality versus practicality. Maybe, for example, I can also give you another example. Child labor is not in reality or legally child labor. We are saying that any person below the age of 18 is not supposed to work. Correct?
yeah, correct.
Yeah. However, in some African communities, children may contribute to family farming and family household. And we call them in our context or in our culture. It's the way we are socialized. We go, we help our families to plow the fields. We help our families maybe to sell, but when some of the legal think tanks take it from a legal perspective, they see it as child labor. So our socialization versus reality, it may be a critical difference. So to wrap up, I can say that for social work and child welfare practice, it is important to balance our cultural contexts and the legal aspects, because in as much as we've got rights, things that happen in the US and things that happen in DRC, they are two different things. We've got different contexts. So we have to tailor-made our solutions according to the context that we are living in. So that's what I can say.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Wow, it's amazing and quite interesting.
Yeah.
One thing that I caught from what you said is about the under 18 labor mindset fragment that we have discussed.
Yeah.
So my question again, just to add on that, is how come in other European countries like the one that you're in right now, the United
Yeah.
Kingdom, the children are always prioritized, as in they're the first priority,
Yes.
even though there's no existence of Ubuntu or any other social paradigm there.
Yeah.
But now when you come to Africa, it's totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's the
It's totally.
patriarchy system, and sometimes it's very, very, very negative towards the child.
Yeah.
So my question to you, sir, is according to the years that you've lived in the United Kingdom, do you think there's something Africa is missing that we should implement?
I think the big dollar question comes. To be honest, everything needs funding. It needs funding.
All right.
That's the $1 million question. Yes, you might have the political will as a country, you might have the blueprints, but without funding. Because, for example, in Europe, most countries they offer free education, free healthcare, child benefits, but in an African context, with our budgets that are constraints, this cannot be a reality because we've got other priorities that you prioritize. For example, normally I'm not trying to, but I've seen that most African countries, most of their priorities is defense. Then we come to healthcare. Healthcare is a good, yeah, it's a good. But issues of child protection and childcare, they are not really taken into consideration that much, and funding that is given to issues of child development, they are limited. So at the end, because we have to tackle a citizen starting at a tender age, child development, providing him with the education that he needs, healthcare, because a healthy citizen leads to a prosperous nation. So the basis or the baseline is funding, and yeah, it's still a long way to go. Yes, the papers we have, the policies we have, everything in
Yeah.
place, but funding, we don't have funding.
Thank you so much for that. So my following question is, let's say the funding is there,
Okay.
but now there's a split, or I'll give you three sections of
Okay.
children. So the first section is the vulnerable children.
Okay.
I'm talking about refugee children, displaced children,
Okay.
victims of wars.
Okay.
The second section are the orphans. And the
Okay.
last section, children with disability.
Okay.
So if the funding was there, where do you think it should be prioritized and why, according to you?
To be honest, you're asking me a very difficult question. It's like you're asking me between my three children, who do I love the most? Because I believe
Uh,
everybody needs support. Be it asylum seeking children, because for example, here in developed countries they call them asylum seeking children, asylum and incumbent seeking children. We've got children with disabilities, we've got orphans. It's really tricky to strike a balance, but I think at the end of the day, what's important is to contribute towards child development more. To say which area I should focus more, as I said before, it will be a tricky question. Because you're asking me to choose which of the favorite child from my children, which one is my favorite child, and I can't answer to that one. But the important thing is we need to put a good striking balance between because the child protection spectrum is very big, as you said, but you need to strike a balance.
Wow, interesting, interesting. As I knew, you always have your way of answering questions. Wow. So my other question is this: as a specialist working with children with disability, what is the most critical overlooked barrier that these specific children face regarding their growth and development?
Okay. Normally, firstly, I'd like people to understand that for a person or a child to say that he or she has got a disability is an impairment plus a barrier equals to a disability. That's the equation that they use. An impairment plus a barrier equals to a disability. A person can just live an impairment, but there are no barriers. He can just live an independent life with just an impairment. For example, he cannot walk, but he's got an electric wheelchair. We have reduced the barrier. He can now independently do his or her duties using the electric wheelchair. He can access government buildings. He can go to shopping. He can go on vacation. He can board a plane. This electric wheelchair, we have removed the barrier. So when barriers are there, it now becomes a disability. So what I discovered that in Africa we've got low expectations. For example, if you've got a child with a disability, already we are now saying we don't expect much from those children, but they've got their strengths. We've got reduced the opportunities for them. They've got lower self-esteem, lower dependence, fewer education and employment aspirations, because already the system has just labeled those people as if they are incapable of doing anything. We've provided a barrier to them by saying that they are incapable. You know, before there was a word that was used, handicapped, to say that a person is handicapped. I think actually the disability fraternity, the terminology keeps evolving because some of the terms that we used before and the terms that are used now, it keeps on evolving. But the issue of low expectations and negative attitudes is affecting children. Then also exclusion from childhood everyday experiences. In Africa, they hide children with disabilities at home. They don't want the community to know that they've got a child with a disability. Maybe you discover later, maybe through outreaches, or maybe a family member discloses that, you know what, I've got a cousin who's got a disability. But they lock children with disabilities in homes due to shame, due to stereotypes that are associated with disabilities. We've got some myths that are associated, maybe bewitched, or these people, they are using magic, they are using juju. In Zimbabwe, we call them vagaromba. They are using magic. So yeah. So people try as much as to exclude those people from the everyday lives. But in trying to do so, we are creating more problems. We are depriving them of social skills. We are depriving them of their identity. We are depriving them of emotional development, socialization, mental health resilience. You know what? Looking at a child every day, you're affecting his mental health. Does not have socialization. He cannot develop some skills that are necessary. Then lack of identification and intervention. People, they later discover that their child has got a disability, maybe when he or she is about 4 years or 5 years time. When they now want to go to preschool, but some of other the spectrum of disabilities, they can be corrective. For example, corrective surgeries. For example, children with autism. I've discovered that in Africa, autism, they do not put so much focus on it, or I believe the system is just can I say it's biased, though, because when I came to the UK, I've seen that they've got so much investment in terms of autism, in terms of disability spectrums and so forth, to the extent that the parents, they know and they can screen early their child so that I can get the necessary interventions at an early stage. But in Africa, we'll later go to the specialist at a later stage. Maybe the child is around 5 years. You are discovering that the child is still pre-verbal. He cannot talk, or still is still crawling, or is still using pads for toileting. Then that's when we now start to want to look for medical expertise. But I think we need to move fast. When you discover that a child has got an impairment, we need to get a screening very fast. Then also some of the barriers, I think, are communication barriers. Do you know sign language?
Hi, I know that.
But you're going to work with children with disabilities, people with disabilities. How are you going to communicate? Because you know what? Sign language is a language. We need to. I believe in Zimbabwe, it's one of the 16 languages that we have.
Yes.
We need to. Yes, I think as a recommendation, I think to the curriculum that is in place, they need to put it into consideration to make sure that everyone knows sign language. Because in our everyday life, we're going to encounter people with disabilities who cannot, who are pre-verbal, who cannot talk, and you have to use sign language because we have to include them in our programming. So the issue of communication barriers, they cannot communicate with us. We cannot hear their views. We cannot hear their voices. So it's a barrier. And also limited participation in decision making. It's funny. You find out maybe at a district level or at a provincial level, there's a meeting for disabilities, and there's only one representative for persons with disabilities. You are discussing things of disability without including persons with disabilities. There's a phrase that says, "Nothing for us without us is for us." How you cannot say on behalf of us.
Yeah.
Give us the opportunity.
Yeah. Nice.
Give us the opportunity for us to speak. Give us the time. Give us the opportunity for us to dictate what we want. You cannot think on our behalf. So I think that's the mentality that we still have. Even with most professionals, you find out in a very big conference we are discussing about disability. Then you count who has got a disability on all these professionals, only one or two. So what are we doing? So I think we need to open the space, open the voice, give them a chance to persons with disabilities. And then also some barriers. You know, having a child with a disability is not easy. Having a child who cannot go to, who is not independent, who needs support, it's not easy. So most caregivers or most parents, they end up developing mental health problems, stress, depression, burnout. You know, they need support. So it's something that is overlooked. But I discovered that here in the UK, they prioritize caregivers and parents of persons with disabilities very much because they know it's not easy being providing support to a person with a disability. Their needs are very much and very demanding than us. So they need also support. Then in inaccessible environments, you know, some environments you cannot access without some ramps. Because, for example, you have a wheelchair, you need some ramps to access those buildings, but some of our buildings, they are not accessible. So basically, we're just saying, we don't want you here. That's what you are saying. We don't want you here. You're just saying that in silence because when I come with my wheelchair and there is no ramp, I cannot access the building. You're just telling me that we don't want you here. So I think it's another issue of concern. So from a social worker's perspective, the most significant and overlooked barriers often social exclusion driven by stigma, low expectations. When society assumes that children with disabilities are incapable, dependent, less valuable, which means that we are not taking them aboard, we are not considering them. So we need to have a shift whereby we include everyone on board, giving children with disabilities or persons with disabilities a voice to detect what they want. Yes.
Great, 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 great. I can't expect much lesser. Obviously, you deliver.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Surely, but I also want to say something that I saw recently
yeah. Okay.
in support of what you were saying. Currently, in June
Yes.
2026, the Zimbabwean cabinet officially approved the country's first comprehensive national child online protection policy.
Okay.
So this is a policy which has a framework of from 2026 to 2030, 4 years,
Okay.
meaning that the government is now focusing on the digital cyber attacks children are getting.
Okay.
But my question to you, sir, again, is there a strategy on how to make artificial intelligence or the digital world a pivotal key in helping and improving children's rights in this century?
Yeah. AI, AI and technology, the hot potato topic. You know, in UK they are planning to ban children on social media, and Australia have been
Really?
successful. Yes, it's still a debate in Parliament. They are planning to ban children under 16 from social media, and Australia has been successful. No children on social media.
What?
Yeah,
Imagine the lives.
yeah, but still, they are still facing the backlash from other, AI and in child protection. Yeah, I believe because you are talking about softwares. For example, I'm talking from a social worker's perspective. We do case management, we handle cases. So when you have comprehensive systems in place like softwares, you can be able to track a child in system, the support that is getting from the government, to track if the child has got you know what? Here in the UK, they've got also a similar system whereby we can say it's a consolidated comprehensive database for everyone, for every child in the UK. You can easily access his name, but it's only for professionals due to confidentiality issues. You can access the name of the child doctor, access the mother's name. You can easily access the school. Every academic term, after the term ends, the school posts their results on the portal, and it's a comprehensive system that when you go into a child portal, into the child portal, you can see his academic achievements, his health achievements or his health needs. You can see his family needs. If his father is an abuser, it automatically, if his father has got been given some he's got sexual offending history, has got some crimes, automatically the record is put on the child's file. So I believe it creates a system that is comprehensive. It creates a system that is holistic, whereby we don't need to system, because we are moving in a digital world. We are moving from a paper economy to a paperless economy. So I think it's a good milestone that Zimbabwe is taking. But my worry is, do we have the funding to implement it? That should be the million-dollar question. As I said before, we've got good blueprints, good policies, but in reality, they don't come to fruition due to lack of funding. Then AI has been you know what? How can I say it? It's a devil, but we all need it. A better devil that we need. Yes.
All right.
Yes, yes. AI has made our ways less easier in schools, in hospitals, in academics, especially in academics. It's funny. You can see that actually in universities right now, the lecturers, they are struggling on how we are going to give competency tests because everything is just taken from AI. Children are no longer researching. Children are just checking things from AI, and So the investors, they're having challenges, but in the market or in the industry, AI is it's providing efficiency in terms of reducing. Maybe I'm taking from economic perspective rather than because if I'm taking from from economic perspective, AI is reducing the money that you need to use because I'm replacing other people with artificial intelligence. But on the other spectrum, uh, the human face that we are replacing with technology still needs to survive. So there's need to strike a balance. Because you remember, soon after COVID, we discovered that we can do more without humans. Now we're having team meetings. We no longer need to book hotels, book venues. We can do meetings on Teams. Recently in supermarkets, there are no longer queue waiters. You can just go in the supermarket, you scan your things on your own. But the human interface that we had has been lost. In some jobs have been lost. So they need to strike a balance. But in the child protection system, you can't substitute the human interface with a machine. That's not going to happen. You can't expect a machine to give you counseling. Is it possible?
Yeah, true.
You can't expect a machine to give you counseling. Yeah, there is no that human emotion. There's no that human interface. So at the end of the day, we still need it, although we need to strike a balance.
Hmm. Thank you so much for that, sir. And I see our time is leaving us, but my final last question, if time permits us.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
Thank you. So my question is, I've seen that a lot of international organizations, such as the United Nations, World Health Organization, Food Agriculture Organization, and many more, even the regional organizations, such as Gyrus, Giri, the NGO, and other orphanages.
Okay.
Like I've seen that most of them are asking for donations to support the children,
Okay.
especially children with disability.
Okay.
My question is, doesn't that narrative push a narrative that these people cannot live alone? They need our support. Aren't the NGOs helping in making the children with disability really look like they need help rather than a platform to showcase themselves?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's a good observation. I think these organizations are complementing the government efforts, right? You know, it is the primary goal of the government to make sure that its citizens are living according to the minimum standards. They're giving the support that they need. But when a government seems to have some shortfalls, we see that some other entities they take precedence or they complement the efforts of the government. Um, in developed countries, you don't see NGOs, you don't see those. Because you know what, as a citizen, you're contributing your tax in a country. As you're contributing your tax, you're supposed to get something in return. So I'm not saying that we are saying we are pushing a narrative that these people they cannot do something. Because yeah, let me give you an example in the UK. There are people who aren't working who just sit at home. And every month they claim benefits. They live in a free house, free education, free healthcare, and they get a universal credit. They are not disabled. They have no disability, but they are getting benefits. So, in a normal system or in a functioning economy, we cannot say that we are pushing that narrative. Actually, it's your money. You're claiming your money back because you're contributing tax. Government doesn't have money. We are giving them money. The moment you go to a supermarket and you purchase a Minute Maid drink or a Coca-Cola, you know on the receipt there is value-added tax. It's your money that you're contributing to the government, and when you claim that, and when you go and you claim that money through benefits, it's your money. You've got the right to do so because it's your money that you're contributing. Government does not wake up and say government doesn't wake up having money. It's money that comes from the citizens, and the citizens, they've got the right to claim their money through benefits. But unfortunately, in some other countries, our social care system, to be honest, is dead. They don't give so much priority to social care systems. So that's when you see development partners or those big NGOs taking a leading role in terms of social care. But in a normal setup, the government should be the leading role, taking priority, helping its citizens, because they are contributing those citizens. Everyone is playing a role. People are going to work, they're toiling, people are going to mines, they are working, they are contributing to the government. They need to get their benefits in return in a normal society. So I don't think that they are peddling a narrative that those people they are less, they depend on us. Yes, they depend on us somehow for mobility issues, but it's their money. The same as you can go to the same as somebody who is old. You can go to the government and claim for an upkeep money, for upkeep. The same as I was telling you before in the UK, that you can go to your local council, they give you a house, they give you investor credit, free housing, free education, free healthcare. It's your benefits, it's your rights. So disability rights, they are part of human rights.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. What a wonderful session. I would
Yeah.
love for this to continue, but I know your schedule.
You can continue. You can continue. No worries.
Oh, really? Thank you. So my other question is, when we look at the Sustainable Development Goals,
Okay.
SDGs,
Okay.
there's 17 goals.
Yeah.
But currently, sir, can you tell me which goal, as a social worker helping children with disability, which one right now are you advocating for, and are you pursuing to fulfill the mandate?
Okay. I think reducing inequalities. Um, because we know that persons with disabilities, their rights, they have not been recognized that much, the same as women. But although we are making a stride in terms of women rights, because people with disabilities, they are one of the minority groups whereby they need support. So I believe it's something that we need to take into consideration, um, because if we remove barriers, we remove inequalities, we are creating an opportunity for those people to thrive. And I believe everyone deserves an opportunity. I believe everyone deserves a voice. I believe everyone deserves a happy life. So when you give them opportunity, they can thrive. Do you know Steve Hawkins? Or
Yes,
have you
I
heard
know
about
him.
Steve Hawkins?
I know him.
Can you tell me more about Steve Hawkins? What do you know about Steve Hawkins?
Thank you so much. Firstly, I know that he's a man who had too much intelligence
Okay.
to the extent that he created a way that he can break away from the cycle of disability
Yeah, yeah,
after the car accident.
yeah. So,
So, yeah, I remember the wheelchair he created, which was quite fantastic. A wheelchair which can talk. Yeah,
so these are the things that we need. We must have an opportunity whereby we give everybody a voice, everybody a chance, whereby people with disabilities, they can achieve greatness, provided they have got the necessary support. The ground is level whereby we can give them the right chances. It's disheartening that in Africa, we don't have special schools that much, whereby we have specialized schools for children with disabilities. If you find one, if there's a private school, and most people, and I've tried to find out that disability and poverty, they move hand in hand. So just imagine somebody living down there, has got a child with a disability, and he's been told that the school that can cater for his child needs and capabilities is a child that is based maybe in Harare, is costing about $800 per term. Obviously, that parent cannot afford, and that child has been denied his rights to education. And you know what is disheartening? We've got many talents that are hidden there, that are locked in rooms because parents have they lacked money to support those children, not because they lacked money, but the system failed them. So I think the system, we have to put a system in place whereby we remove all barriers, we provide equality so that people can thrive. I think in terms of, for example, in the last decades, in terms of women empowerment and women inclusion, we've done some strides. As a country, as a continent, as Africa, we've done some strides. Women have been given positions of power. They're given influential roles. They're taking part into programming and so forth. But in terms of disability, we're still some miles ahead, and we need to back up so that we can merge with other developmental trends.
Wow, so sad. And another question.
Okay.
In this era that we're in,
Yeah.
I've seen that there are now a lot of cases where 1 out of 10 babies is born with a disability.
Yeah.
So my question is, can we say that there are also things that our parents or us as a generation are doing to make more people disabled? As in maybe the food, or there's a certain way that this generation is producing more people with disabilities.
Okay, this one I don't want to speak from an African perspective. I want to
Right?
speak from okay. I've seen that, especially I was talking about autism some time ago. It's one of the common disability spectrums that you find in the UK, in America, and so forth. And one of the reasons I've seen that, for the statistics were saying maybe in developed countries, 1 in every 4 children has autism. So what happens is we've got different cultures that we have. Some cultures allow them to marry their sisters, siblings, cousins. For example, we're talking about India. You can marry a cousin. So things of so if the disability component is hereditary or is genetically made, it's going to stay in the whole family forever. Because you're marrying this cousin, then this cousin is going to marry this cousin is going to marry this cousin, and it stays in the family. And in the end, there is no breakup of that genetic, that is the genetic makeup. So I've normally found in my line of work, I've found that most families who are having such kind of problems, you find out it's either these are internal marriages that they have, especially from cultures like India, most Asian countries. Yeah, that's number one. Then number two, I'm not a medical practitioner.
Okay.
we also need to hear the perspective from medical practitioner that why is it that disability statistics they have soared in the recent decades unlike before. But the tricky part is it that our elders before they were not being included? Because it's a two-sided question. You are saying that 1 in every 10 children has got disability rights. It may be just because our system right now that we have, they're now good at tracking. Unlike in the medieval times, children with disabilities they were kept at home. There was no tracking. There were no systems in place to know who's got a disability and not. But right now, everything is not transparent. The world is now open. We are trying to bring them aboard. So maybe it may be a positive outlook that we now have systems in place that can track or trace these numbers or these statistics, unlike before. So it can maybe before we don't have the evidence, because before maybe children kept in homes, they were not provided to the outside world, and maybe we don't know. That's my assumption. That I think it may be also that we now have a system that is transparent right now, that is now open. For example, I'm talking about the developed countries. They've got a system to track every child with a disability the day he or she is born, and they are able to track that child. So they've got good tracking mechanisms, and they can easily identify a child with a disability in an early stage. So it may be so I don't know.
No, you know,
Because for example, we talk of child marriages. People are saying child marriages they've increased, but during our forefathers' time, were there no child marriages? But right now, just because we've got organizations that have come to bring them out there, they've come to denounce them and shun them, and you now see as if we have been doing that for a long time, but just because we've got organizations that have now tried to shun those practices and ethic those practices, we now see as if it's something, but we've been doing that all along. So I'm not trying to say that I don't know. Let's not leave that open.
Wow. Thank you so much. A question just came up in my mind. Has there ever been a scenario where a man with a disability opened a company? Or let's say an autistic person,
Okay.
maybe a crippled, maybe deaf or dumb,
Okay.
even in the developed countries? Are
Okay.
there those certain events or possibilities?
Yes, they are very high, and they are given discounts. For example, if we're with disability, there are some various discounts that you get when you want to register your company. You're given top priority, top discounts. So yeah, there are many. There are many. As a social worker where I'm working, we've got various social workers with disabilities who use mobile wheelchair, who use electric wheelchairs to come to work, and they are performing very good, more than what you can do as those without disabilities, because they've been given an opportunity to thrive. I want to be honest. Yes.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah. Because, for example, a person with an electric wheelchair just comes to work, he gets into a lift, he goes to the third floor where he works, he just do his duties. When he wants to go, for example, to a community activity, he just goes to his car, which is disability friendly. He or she can drive. He goes to a community outreach, but it needs so much investment. As I said, it needs so much investment, so much commitment, and so much will to make that a reality. But yeah, there are people who are thriving with disabilities who are operating companies, because the system allows them to give them some relief in terms of tax reliefs, and some their registration fees they are a bit lower, because they understand the challenges that they face.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And my last question, this is the final one, and then we're done.
Okay.
Can you tell me, what do you see, or do you even see an environment where children with disabilities and autistic scenarios
Okay.
emerging as impactful leaders in Africa, the global south?
Okay. Yeah. Africa is open to possibilities. I don't want to limit Africa. Africa is open to possibilities. Yeah. I believe currently, right now, Africa is now the fertile ground for investment. Besides the issue of disabilities, we've got the largest. We've got a thriving population. We've got resources. Um, yeah. So I believe what's needed is the political will. That's the most important thing. For example, we say that as a country, we have got a budget of 20 million. For that 20 million, what is the proportionate that we're going to give for disability programming? Because actually, disability programming is just bunched under social welfare. And in that social welfare, they've got child protection, we've got adult welfare, we've got community initiatives. And to find out that disability programming maybe will get about 5% of the whole budget. So I think we need more of political will. As I said before, Africa is open to opportunities and possibilities. Um, I see an Africa whereby um, discrimination, inequalities, they have reduced. And I hope to see that Africa one day. And I believe it's going to be a reality because we now have a generation that is coming up that is now getting to know these terms that I'm talking about. That the young generation that is educated, um the young generation that has got the zeal, the enthusiasm to transform Africa. And I believe in the next 50 years, Africa will be something else. With this young generation that we have, they are very enthusiastic and they are open to learn and willing to engage. And I believe Africa in the next 50 years will be somewhere else. Because
Wow.
the investment that we need, I think I left this before. The investment that we need to put so much into Africa um, is child development. By child development, I'm talking about creating so much. So much bias on child protection, which include education, healthcare, child development, disability programming. If we tackle a child at a young stage, we are guaranteed of achieving healthy citizens. We are guaranteed of achieving productive citizens. Because if we tackle a child at a minor age, for example, a child has got a disability, is screened at an early age, is given the necessary education that he or she needs, the necessary healthcare that he or she needs, the necessary social interaction that he or she needs. That child, when he grows from those roots up to the time he becomes an adult, that person becomes a powerful citizen who can be able to be productive. So African governments needs to make one transformative decision today, and it would guarantee and adequately fund integrated early childhood and inclusive education, so that it's regardless of gender, income, cultural backgrounds and locality. And that significant investment would benefit generations to come and provide the strongest foundation for a sustainable development. I believe healthy citizens means a healthy nation. So we need to, because I believe Africa is the youngest population right now. And by 2050, it's being projected that we are going to be about 1 billion people. 1 billion. Africa is going to be about 1 billion. By 2050, it's a projection. At the same time, um, currently learning outcomes in Africa is a concern because there are still children who are walking some kilometers to go to school. There are still children who aren't accessing educational materials. So I believe policies like this will make sure that we create a future Africa that is productive. Because as I said before, a healthy nation um, is targeted at an early stage. Because I remember there's this saying that it's hard to change an adult than to change a child. Yeah, you can't teach a hot dog new tricks. You have to start at an early stage whereby we create the basis, we create the foundation for a sustainable society.
Thank you so much, social worker Gugulethu. It was really amazing having you on board. And to the audience, thank you so much for being with us all this while. Wow, this is the first time podcast of Micro de Mathieu, and
Thank you so much, Matthew. Yeah,
I'm honored to have you, sir, with us today.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, sir.
Have a good
And I
day.
think our meeting and session ends here now.
Okay,
So
okay.
thank you, everyone. And let's stay connected and let's meet up again.
Till we meet again.
Till we meet
Bye.
again. Thank you.
I believe, you know, as I said before,